come with attributes. I'm going to select the first control and shift select the second one. Come up under Modify, Add Attribute, open up that option box. And we're going to give it a name under here under long name, just something simple like foot roll. Under here, we're going to go ahead and leave this at float. That is the default setting. This gives us a little bit more fine-tuning if we need that. It works with decimals. And down under the numeric attribute properties, we're going to punch in -10 for the minimum and a maximum of 10. The default, you can't type in 0 here. It's really not necessary. We've got these defined here, so it's already going to know that the default is at 0. So let's go ahead and just say OK to that. And now if we come over here, we can see under our channel box that we've got some new attributes here with our foot roll. So now that we have our custom attributes set for our foot roll, we're going to further define how this foot roll operates by using set-driven-key. And even before we get started with that, we need to make sure that we have our controls renamed here. So that was the NURB circle. Go ahead and rename that left foot control and right foot control. And then let's go ahead and get started with set-driven-key. I'm going to come under Animate, Set-driven-key, Set. Open up the option box for that. And I'm going to select the left foot control, and I'm only going to demonstrate how to set up the left foot, and then once I'm done with that offline, you can go ahead and repeat the process for the right foot. Okay, so with the left foot control selected, this is what we're going to load up as the driver. So this is going to drive the foot roll. So we're going to load that up there as the driver. And what is being driven are the joints here for our reverse foot lock. So let's go ahead and select those joints. I'm starting with the heel. I'm going to shift select the toe and then the ball joint. And with those selected, I'm going to load those up as what's being driven. We'll see those over here. I'm going to click and drag and select all of those, and we're going to be rotating the attribute that's going to be affected is the rotate Z axis. So let's go ahead and select that. So it's rotating around that Z axis that we set up. Okay, and before we can set a key here, we also need to select our foot roll. And now this is activated here, so we can set that. And we're in our 0 state. If I go ahead and just click on the foot control here, we look at our foot roll. And this is the default setting, the 0, which is where we want to be. Our foot is in its 0 state. Let's go ahead and set a key here. And you can see that nothing showed up here on the timeline. That's because the relationship that we're setting up has nothing to do with time. It has to do with the values that we're setting up for this attribute over here for the foot roll. So we'll look at that a little bit further once we get this set up. We'll take a look at the curves in the graph editor and hopefully have a little bit clearer understanding of those relationships. So let's go ahead and move forward with this. We need to define our minimum and maximum state. That's the -10 and +10 that we set up for the foot roll. So we've got our 0 state right now, so let's go ahead and set up the maximum first. So I'm going to type in 10 here for our maximum state, and now what we need to do is pose this foot, what it would look like in its maximum state. So I'm going to start by selecting the toe joint. I'm going to activate the rotate Z axis, hold down the middle mouse button, and just drag to the left here. So I'm pulling that leg forward on that toe joint. And I think go any further than that, that's probably going to be a little bit too much. So let's go ahead and round this off, give it an even number of 60. Put that in there. And we need to grab the ball joint now and kind of rotate that back a little bit. I think -10 here will work. And let's go ahead and set a key for that. So this is our maximum state pose. Okay. So if I select the control now, we can see what that's doing. All right. And right now, the foot is rolling up on the toe. It really needs to be rolling off of that ball joint first and then up onto the toe. So before we set our minimum state here on the heel, we're going to set an in-between state, probably right about, I want to say frame 4. It's not frame, it's a value of 4. So let's go ahead and punch 4 in there, and let's zero out that toe. So that brings that back down, and then let's grab the joint for the ball here, and we're going to roll that forward to about 45. Let's go ahead and just round that off to 45. Come out here and take a look at that. I think that looks good. And let's set a key here, and then we can come back here and just test that out. So there's the 0 state, and now it rolls forward on the ball first, and then when it hits the value of 4, it rolls up on the toe until it hits its maximum at 10. Okay, so that looks good. I'm going to just bring it back to 0 here, and now we need to set up our minimum state, which is going to be here on the heel. We're going to roll the heel back. So let's go ahead and set our value up here first. So that's -10, our minimum state. Now I'm going to grab the joint for the heel and go ahead and roll that back. And we want to be careful that we don't extend this back so far that it completely straightens out that knee joint. We want to leave a little bit of a bend there. Otherwise we're going to have some unwanted popping when it animates. So I think 43 is probably a good number, or 53 rather. So we'll put 53 in here and go ahead and set our last key. Close that. So now we can come down here and select the foot control again and just kind of scroll through this, see what that looks like. So here are our keys for our min and max state, and our in-between right there, that ball roll. Okay, and if we were to go into the graph editor just to kind of point out how this is working, let's go ahead and select that ball joint, and there it is right there. So you can see if I scroll down here, you can see that in the window there, there's no relationship to time here. Nothing's animating to those keyframes that we set. But if I come up here and select one of these, we can see the values up here. So there's that the value of 4 that we set for the ball joint, and the rotation here on the z-axis was set at 45. And you can always come in here and sort of further define how you may want to adjust these. You can have the roll off a little bit sharper or a softer roll off, and customize how your character's walk will look like. So this is a very powerful tool, the set driven key. Can really allow you to set up a very stylized or realistic type of walk cycle for your character, runner walk cycle. Okay, so with that in place, go ahead and go through the same process, set up the set driven key for the right foot control here, and we'll come back in the next lesson and we'll get started on setting up the controls for the knees.